Let's hit up the migrant crisis. Let's do it.
So the reason this has been developing for a while, if you read the news, you've definitely heard of it. The reason I decided to put it in the current events this week is because I saw this quote from Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City, that it was going to destroy New York City, this migrant crisis. So I want to go over the whole thing. Why is this happening? Why are all these migrants coming here right now? What kind of burden are they placing on these cities? Why do these cities need to take care of them? Why can't they just go find jobs? We're going to cover all of it. So the reason they're coming here now is because mainly of an economic collapse that has been happening in Venezuela. So a couple years ago, an authoritarian socialist regime took over and it completely crippled the country's economy. Part of this also happened because of sanctions that the Trump administration put on Venezuela. And I just wanted to note that. But in general, it's been the tightening of the economic policy that's completely stifled innovation and growth. And that's just driven millions of Venezuelans to leave the country. The vast majority of those are staying in other Latin American countries. But with over 7 million leaving the country, some have trickled all the way up to the U.S. So that's kind of a funny thing to me here. Over 7 million have left Venezuela. Less than 500,000 have come to the U.S.
Oh, the vast majority is being sucked into Colombia, right?
Yeah.
Colombia is facing the real burden of this crisis.
Totally. Absolutely. So what this has been doing to cities a little bit. In New York City, Eric Adams had that quote, they're sheltering 59,000 migrants per night. It's projected to cost them $12 billion over the next 3 years, which is really an insane cost for a city. And New York is having its own budgetary problems with property taxes shrinking because of commercial real estate values. Chicago has 13.5 thousand migrants that it's housing. It's already cost Chicago $250 million. In Washington, D.C., there are 10.5 thousand migrants. In Massachusetts, the governor here, Maura Healey, declared a state of emergency, and they're still expecting another 1,000 families per month. And so the reason that I'm mentioning New York City, Chicago, Washington, these are not states on the border. These are not cities on the border, right? These are all very blue cities. You might have heard about an initiative by Texas Governor Greg Abbott to bus migrants to blue cities, kind of to show Democrats their hypocrisy in supposedly wanting open borders, completely insecure borders, and just let these migrants come in, which really, to be clear, Democrats aren't asking for. But he's like, okay, you're the ones who are saying, let's bring the migrants in, but you're not dealing with the problem, so let's have you deal with the problem. But most of them aren't getting there because of the Texas governor, right? Most of them are getting there and they're looking for buses to take them to these blue cities because they expect to be taken more care of there.
And they're looking for economic opportunity.
So New York City is a good example because it has a mandate to shelter, right? So the social support in these democratic cities does tend to be higher. Why are they not getting the economic opportunity? This is the weird thing about this crisis, right? We have all these migrants, and we're spending a ton of federal money on supporting them, and, of course, a ton of local money. But there are work shortages, there are labor shortages in these areas, in the specific industries that migrants tend to work in.
Right.
So there was an article in the New York Times that said, some sectors of New York City's economy, such as restaurants, since the pandemic have roared back to life. Home healthcare has seen explosive growth. There are 57,000 more home healthcare aides in the city today than before the pandemic. Tourism has largely bounced back. These are all industries that are desperate for workers, and they have this huge potential workforce that is desperate to work. So what's in the way?
Oh, man, if you tell me some work permitting stuff...
It is work permitting.
Oh, I'm so mad.
It is work permitting.
No way.
So an asylum seeker must wait 150 days from when they file an asylum application to when they can submit an application for employment authorization.
Oh, my God.
And federal law prohibits the approval of that work permit until 180 days after their asylum application filing.
Oh my God! What are they supposed to do then?
So the crazy thing is, there's criticisms in two ways. The 150 number, Biden can change unilaterally.
Okay.
So this is why these Democratic mayors you might have seen, they've all been petitioning the Biden administration. They're like, make it easier. He could cut that 150 down to 0. But to change that 180, we need congressional change. And that seems impossible because right now, if you have any pulse on politics at all, you know that immigration is probably the most divisive issue in Congress.
Why would Republicans not want to limit that 180 days? It seems like that's cutting red tape and it's getting people to work.
Well, the reason is because part of their platform is we hate illegal immigrants.
But they're not even illegal. They're migrants, right?
But they're asylum seekers.
Right, that's not illegal. You're allowed to claim asylum.
You're allowed to apply for asylum, but they're doing that after getting to the border. So here's the problem, right? They're getting to the border and they're applying for asylum, and then once they do that and they're pending, they're released into the country.
Right, but that's not illegal.
No, it's not illegal, but it's not it's legal, but it's not pre-approved. Almost, right?
I see.
It's still not happening through the legal immigration system.
Oh, they want them to that's why they want them to wait in Mexico. They want the wait in Mexico policy.
Exactly.
Right? So you can claim asylum here, but go back to Mexico, even if you're not from Mexico.
That's what part of the funny part here is.
They're
with
not Mexicans.
Trump sanctioning Venezuela.
Yeah, he caused this.
Yeah, it hurt the diplomatic relations with Venezuela so much that we actually can't repatriate them back to Venezuela anymore. That's why we're sending them to Mexico.
That's so funny.
Isn't that insane?
Oh, what a nightmare.
So that's where we're at as far as the legislation. That's why this is like such a weird issue where we need migrant labor. Migrant labor needs to work. They want to work, and yet we're not bridging that gap. And so what the Biden policy has done, the Biden administration has done, it's instituted policies to give asylum to 24,000 Venezuelan applicants.
That's not enough.
This is way too little to match demand. Because this came along with a bigger part of the reform, which was allowing the executive branch departments like ICE to deport the Venezuelans to Mexico. And after that, it really did decrease immigration enormously, literally by like 90%.
No way.
It was like 1,000 immigrants coming over the border every day decreased to 100 immigrants coming over the border every day.
Wait, so that's because Biden gave asylum to 24,000 Venezuelans and then said, okay, everyone else, we're shipping you back to Mexico?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like we don't have to consider your asylum application for everyone besides these 24,000. So we can just get rid of you.
Okay.
And of course, for Democrats, or actually before I say this, there's one other quote in this New York Times article that is just perfect to me. As far as business leaders who they want the migrant workers to help them with their labor shortages, one of them said, "It's just stupid. I mean, we're paying for them to sit in hotel rooms when they want to work. We have jobs that need people, and we can't match them up." I cannot think of something more fitting for the title of this show. Everything sucks. It's so easy to fix.
That's such an easy fix. Just let them work.
Yeah.
You have two liberals here who want to get rid of red tape and cut regulations.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's literally just paperwork getting in the way of us solving this problem. It's absurd.
It could be growing our economies instead of sucking money out of our budgets.
Yeah. Yeah. And Republicans, meanwhile, are just stuck on the issue of we need to stop illegal immigration. All of them are saying we need to send the military to the border. We need to send them into Mexico and have them snuff out the cartels themselves. The problem is that we don't have enough legal immigration policy.
That's
we don't
the problem.
have enough legal immigration availability.
There is literally no way for an unskilled laborer to enter the United States legally.
Yeah.
It is absolutely impossible for that to happen.
Yeah. So this just got me heated because it's so absurd. It's so ridiculous. It's another one of those things where it's like, I cannot believe our government is this dysfunctional.
Well, do you know if Biden is leaning towards taking that 150 down to 0?
I haven't seen anything. I think he's worried about the political ramifications. That's the only thing in my head.
Right. That's the only thing.
Immigration's too hot button. right? The election campaigns are happening right now.
Right, I can already see the ads like, Biden is encouraging immigrants to come across the border and steal your job.
Yes,
right.
But the truth is, if he does decrease it,
the crisis kind of fizzles away, and you don't really think about it as much because
Yes.
then they're able to afford their own apartments.
and he can argue as to why he did it.
Yep.
Like, there's such clear reasoning that he can present if there's a debate or if he's getting an interview, right? So I don't know. It's depressing. Let these people work here. We did a whole deep dive on immigration as well, and this just fits so perfectly with the policies that we were advocating for.
We know that immigration has a positive economic multiplier. We know that.
Yeah.
We also know that immigration has a positive economic multiplier for wages.
Yes.
They don't even decrease native wages.
Exactly.
They increase native wages.
Because migrant workers generally don't compete even with low-end native workers. Okay? And I'm glad we're hammering that home. It sucks that this is a problem.
Listen, restore the dignity of work, Republicans. Get these guys to work, please. Yeah. I don't know why I have to be the one saying this. Why do you want them holed up in a hotel room for free? Why do you want that?
Republicans love people who want to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and be hard workers to make a better life for themselves. That's what all of these people are.
So let them do it.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.